Hello everyone. Today we will learn about HCI, that is human computer interaction. So starting with the introduction, what is the human computer interface? See this diagram. This is human and computer. So computer provides efficiency, accuracy, recall and satisfaction to the human. So let us see in detail what is HCI. HCI, that is human computer interface, or people calling it as a MMI, that is man machine interaction, or sometimes CHI, that is computer human interaction. Let it be. Here two entities are very important. First one, or at the one side, is a machine, that is system or computer, and the second entity, that is we have considered is human. So here what we have to do, there is a one system and another one is a human. So in that we have to do the communication in between them, and like this kind of interaction or interface, okay, everything should be smoothly carried out. The interaction that will perform between these two entities, it should be easy, also it should be efficient, it should be very smooth, and it should be very safe. So the person who is using the computer, at the time of using computer, he should feel like that this computer is very easy to use. That is our objective of HCI. That means the person who will use that computer, he will feel like that it is very simple system to use. That is the our main motto or goal of the HCI, that is human computer interface. Okay, so what what HCI says? HCI is saying it is the study which actually trying to develop or design a computer technology which could help of to make this interaction between human and computer more and more better, efficient and easy. Getting it? I hope you are understanding this point. If we go in history or past and try to understand the communication and interaction, so what was happening initially at the starting with each other in human and human, how communication was happening? Firstly they learn to interact, okay, by with the help of some movements, gestures, like there is no language barrier. And example for this is common things like eating, food eating, or asking for the lunch, that have you finished your lunch or not. Okay, so with the help of movement and gesture they started communication. After that, at the initial level, what happened, we move to the next high level of interaction, where we have learned speaking and started to speak with each other by using some languages. It is little bit complex as compared to past. Now going forward, we arrive one another higher level of complexity where we calling writing. Yes, where we are communicating with each other in writing, like letter writing. Likewise we started communication. Here level of complexity went at high level, but very efficient and easy way of interaction was. And now also there is a speaking. There is no challenge to speaking for interaction. With this speaking we can easily convey to others our thoughts, and same the other person can also convey his thoughts to us. Some people know how to talk or talking, but they can't write, it also becomes barrier, so they have to learn for writing, they have to develop the skill. Here speaking becomes easy for interact. So like this we are trying to find the solution to get good interaction between human and computer. Like normal, what will happen, the user or human will give the input. How? By typing to the computer system. Now the user is giving input to the system. How the user have to perform some particular task from that computer system, specifically which task have to perform from that computer, specifically how to perform the task, specifically what is the deadline of that task. In view of this specification, if your computer system is working with that respective specification and processing and putting or giving the desired output in front of human, then we can call it as a it was the very good interaction or ideal interaction, because human that what he wanted he easily conveyed to computer, and computer also without doing interaction gave the desired output. The desired output it is given, shown on display, which was available here. What will happen? This is the ideal interaction in the HCI, that is we wanted and we are trying to develop and design. So I hope you are getting the point how we can make interaction easy, safe and readable. Okay, if I will give you this real life example like Android, Windows. These names are sufficient because they are most popular nowadays. Okay, so these are the famous because they are rich in many places. Okay, near about many peoples in world they are using or they are familiar with them. Okay, so these two things, Windows and Android, people are using. So did you feel why they are using? That is the big reason. What is the common point in between? And it is easy to use, user friendly, user centric, getting it. So that's why the more and more people are using that. So I hope you are getting this point. Here user is considered in the main center and its interest also considered in the center, which way he can use easy way that is putted in the center. Understanding behavior of human according to that interface is design. Okay, so that means according to the interest of the user the interface is designed. So even I have my personal experience. If we give Android phone mobile, okay, to the kids, so within few seconds they are starting to play the game on the mobile. Even they don't know what is the Play Store, how we can develop or how we can download the games from the Play Store and how we can play that game. But by looking or by watching the pictures steps, automatically they starts to play game on the device. Okay, so that means we have make these things very easy, because the small kid also can easily use and enjoy their functions and resources in a very simple way. That is the point, that is the goal, and that is the objective of the HCI, as make these things easy and very easy, because small kids also use and enjoy the things easily. That is the main goal and objective of the HCI. Thank you. This topic is input output channel. So what is the input output channel? A person's interaction with outside world occurs through information being received and sent, that is the input and output. In an interaction with a computer, the user receives the information that is output by the computer and responds by providing input to the computer. So the user's output becomes the computer's input and vice versa. Input in the human occurs mainly through the senses and the output through the motor control of the effectors. Next, let us see in the figure there is human and computer, and between them interaction is going on, and we have to understand perspective of input and output. Suppose on the screen of computer something is showing or displaying. Okay, so human sense the output of the computer, that means took the input from the computer. The output of the computer is the input for the human. So basically human is reacting, responding or clicking on the computer, or is typing on the computer, is the output of human, which is the input for the computer. So we need to understand the input output cycle. Okay, and it is very important. Now we will see the input output of the human side in perspective of HCI, that is human computer interaction. Next, input or human senses. There are three types of the input. First one is sight, then hearing, and third one is touch. Next, output or effectors. The first one is limbs, then fingers, then head or body position, and the fourth one is voice. Next, so let us see first type of input, that is sight. Some people calling it as a vision. Okay, so let it be. What is the sight? Sight means eye. We are perceive the world with the help of eye. Then processing inside, watching image, and after that we are reacting. That is the simple logic of sensing it, that is the sight. In this there is a behavior. For example, how is the behavior of our eyes in extreme cases? If brightness is very high, when you are looking at sun, then your eyes shrinking. But opposite of that, if you see in dark, then it always open. Okay, that is the behavior of your eyes. But in this extreme cases, if we expose the eyes for long time, then it will get damaged. Some things nowadays, the product which are running today in market, they are learning. Okay, they are understanding. Okay, they introduce auto brightness, and it is as per users according. He can adjust the brightness in mobiles, in tabs and laptops. Okay, suppose scenario is like that, you can use only 0% brightness or 100% brightness. If no one know the HCI, that is human computer interaction, then what, suppose we have to do, use either 0% brightness or 100% brightness. Okay, so these 2 points were out and end points, so nothing in between them. So what happened, our eyes continuously exposed to the extreme behavior. Due to that, what was happen, our eyes was got damaged. Okay, so that's why that design was bad design. Okay, because the eyes getting damaged, so that design will not be the good design, that always the bad design. Okay, then adjusting the brightness. Okay, and today is running the auto brightness is the good design, because they understand the behavior of our eyes, and it is the important things inside. Okay, so if auto brightness is there, so according to the temperature we can easily adjust. So that is the main thing, okay, that will help for our side. Now there are two terms in the side. The first one is visual angle and the second one is visual acuity. Next, so let us see visual angle. So now I am watching from my eye to the object which is away from me, and height of that object is 5 feet, and I am watching its top and bottom, and the line is formed from eye to one at top and another at bottom. So the angle is formed between top and bottom line is the visual angle. So you can see in the figure two lines are drawn, okay, from the eye side. One is at sun's top side and the second one is at sun's downside, okay. So in between them the 0.5 degree angle or visual angle is formed, okay. So from that you can understand behavior of our eyes. Suppose two objects is placed in front of you at same distance from your eyesight. But what is the difference? One object is big and another one is small, okay. So this is the second example in that two objects is placed in front of you, okay. One is small and another one is big, but at the same distance. So what will happen? For the big object the object will be big, and for small object the visual angle will be small. That is the common sense, okay. There is another situation. Size of the object is same but placed at the different places, that is distance is different. So the object which is at long distance, visual angle of that object will be small, and the object which is near to your eye, visual angle of that object will be big, okay. So mostly nowadays the HCI developer is giving more importance to this behavior of the eye, and according to that they are designing the product. So that was the visual angle. Next, visual acuity, okay. So as you can see in the figure, visual acuity is their test distance divided by the letter size, okay. So what is the exactly visual acuity? Visual acuity, it is the ability of the person to perceive the final detail of an object. It is one type of acuity. Today's product designer is using that in the view of eye. The visual acuity is becomes difficult when the size of visual angle is very small, because of either the object is very small or it is at very long distance located from your eye. So the visual angle will be very small. Due to this, to perceive the visual angle for that person becomes very difficult, and here ability of your eye not works, and it should not happen, okay. In development cases this thing developer keeps in his mind, okay. So inside the font size is also important, okay. The font size should be readable and understandable, okay. Don't allow the font size which is can create the confusion or illusion for eyes, okay. For example, if one in the single line and near of that 3 is written, okay, but it is not clear visible, so some people will consider it as a B, capital B, and some people will consider it as a 1 3, okay. So if people are considering it is as a alphabet, then they will consider the capital B, and if people considers it as a number, then they will count as a 1 3, okay. So that will not happen because it creates the illusion for the eye, okay. So it is the probability of misprecision, so that will not happen. So for that the font size should be clear. Next, hearing. So what is hearing? Let us see in detail what is hearing. We have some audible range, okay. You might have seen in some devices volume is there, okay, from 0 to 100, and as you reaches to 75 no issues, but if you increases to 76 then you are getting pop-up message. Okay, hearing at too high volume can damage your ear. So it is one type of your interaction with the system or the computer. Okay, many times humans don't know the something, so the computer or machine system is informing them that thing to the human that you are hearing the song at high volume, so it can damage your ears. So what is this? It is the interaction. So what human have did, he gave the input to the system, he increased the volume, it is the output of the human, and for the computer system it is a input. There is a threshold 75 to 100. As it user process after 75, then system giving the pop-up message to the user or human, you are hearing songs at very high volume, it can damage your ears. So it is the one type of interaction between the human and the computer. So and instantly human or user is decreasing the volume, and it is the hearing in the perspective of HCI. Okay, so after getting the pop-up message from the system, human or user is instantly decreasing the volume because you don't want to lose the his hearing capacity. So that is the hearing. Next, touch. So what is the touch? We'll see in the detail. Basically, if you have to give the input to the computer, what you are doing with the help of keyboard and mouse, you are touching to the keyboard and mouse. Okay, these are the two basic pointing devices you have. What you are doing, you are typing or clicking on the mouse. Okay, when you are typing, then it is one type of feel. You have touch and press this button like this. When you are clicking on mouse, you are touching to the mouse, so sense is happening while touching. Nowadays latest mobile is coming or other devices products coming in that the surfaces are, some surfaces are matte finish, or some mobiles have the matte finish surfaces, some are the coming in body design. So here you are getting the touch and it is totally different that you were not getting in your old mobiles, because there was the old mobile with button keypad. But nowadays when you are using the touch screen phone, so you are getting screen to touch easily. Okay, so we just have to touch to operate that phone mobile with help of finger. We are interacting with the mobile by doing the touch on the screen simply on the mobile. That is the touch. Next, effectors. So there are four types of effectors: limbs, fingers, head or body position, and the fourth one is voice. So let us see one by one. So first one effector is limbs. So limbs, if you want to interact with the system, then limbs is used always. Limbs is used, okay, while interacting with the system. When the user or the person is interacting with the system, at the time he is using the limbs. Then second one is a finger. Okay, so majority of work on system is done with the help of fingers. Okay, like for typing on keyboard or clicking on mouse. Okay, it is possible only with the help of fingers. Even on the touch screen also we are using the fingers. Then third type is a head or body position. Okay, so sometimes the some system are there in that lock unlock system is there with your head and the body position. It is the advanced system. Okay, and it is very important effector here. Input is going to the system through the body position or head, and taken input by the system, and according to that it is processing and giving its output, which is input to the human. That means output of the system is the input to the human. So that is the body or head position, because in the advanced system it is now working. Okay, after scanning your head or body position, the system is getting the input or starting to the work. Now fourth type is voice. So voice is vocal system is there. Okay, so you are giving the voice commands. It is the output for the human, but it is the input to the system. So we have discussed the input and output in the details. Okay, for the voice you can take the example as a Google Assistant. Okay, so on the Google Assistant you can search anything with the help of voice. So that is the input and output channels of the HCI. Thank you. Human memory. Starting with the introduction, what is human memory? Human memory is very simple to understand. Memory means whatever information is there, have to store in memory, can store permanently or temporary. That is the different thing. But data information you can store in memory, and when it is needed or requirement is there, then can retrieve at that time. So storage of information and retrieval of information is primary function of the memory, and these two function is implementing basically in human memory. And there are three variants of human memory. We'll see in details. Types of memory. There are three types of memory. The first one is sensory memory. Second one is a short-term memory. And third one is a long-term memory. Sensory memory, or people calling it as a sensory buffer, short-term memory or working memory. So let us see one by one. First, sensory memory. The sensory memory acts as buffer for stimuli received through the senses. A sensory memory exists for each sensory channel. Iconic memory for visual stimuli, echoic memory for hearing stimuli, haptic memory for touch stimuli. So what is the sensory memory? Let us start with the sensory memory. In this there are two words, one is sensory and another one is a memory. We know the meaning of memory, but what is sensory? Sensory means our senses, that is human senses. There are three main senses, three major senses. Your side, that is eye, hearing and touch. So what is happening? These are senses generating or producing the stimuli. What is sensory memory? The sensory memory is acting as a buffer. It is simply acting as a buffer for a stimuli which is received by the senses, as simple as that. So sensory memory is acting like buffer for stimuli, those who have received from the senses of the human. Types of sensory memories. There are three types of sensory memories. The first one is iconic memory, second one is echoic memory, and third one is a haptic memory. So there is thing here is that the sense channel we have, like visual sense, visual stimuli, hearing stimuli, haptic stimuli. So here our respective sensory memory is there. There exists sensory memory for every sensory channel. It is the main fact, main point need to understand. Also for visual stimuli, for that I have iconic memory for specifically respective that stimuli. Then hearing stimuli, for that I have iconic memory, and for touch I have haptic memory. These three names are very important, and these are related with which respective stimuli, that is also important. Now what is happening? There is my sensory memory. Everything is starting from here. What is it getting? It is getting sense. one type of data information is getting that is stored in your sensory memory. It is true, but nature of this can override the information. It can get changed with the time when new experience is getting. So here in your sensory memory it can override. From this sensory memory we have to move toward the short term memory by focusing on attention. It is very important word, attention. What you mean by attention? Now see, sensory memory is there, many senses are there, but from that I have to give the importance to the only some senses and other I have to filter out. So this filtering you can do by giving attention to the respective senses. In this way you can carry out the filtering process. For example, with blindfold, if object is given to your hand and you have to touch and guess what object is that, so it will be task for you. Now you can't see that object, so you have to touch, and by touching you can easily recognize what is that object. So that time stimuli of your touch will have very importance and rest of the stimuli will be filtered out. So attention of all will be on touch stimuli only. Let us take the second example. While driving the car, our visual stimuli is having the very much importance because it is the stimuli that is used while driving for safety, and other stimuli will be filtered out. So in the mind many stimuli are present and we are trying to concentrate at one place. That is what we are trying to achieve. That is what we are trying to do. If I am taking the I am talking about the iconic memory. For that we can take the same example of blindfold, and task is given that the tune will be played and you have to identify the direction from where it is coming. So you have to sense that, and on the basis of that we have to find from which direction the voice is coming. So here importance will be given to hearing stimuli for that respective instance, for that respective period. In that particular instance what you are doing, you are giving importance to that stimuli because you are interested or need is there. So that's why you have to give the importance to that stimuli. That is what we are calling it as attention. After respective filtering, what is our information that is reaching in our short term memory. Next, short term memory. So what is short term memory? Short term memory, or a short means less time temporarily. If we have to store the data for short time, then memorize short term memory. Also if you want to recall temporarily for any information, then also you can memorize to short time memory. By taking example, the short term memory will be cleared where you are using the short term memory. For example, the example 1 is given, multiplication of 38 into 5. Okay, so if someone don't know the table of 38, then what he will do, he will split 38 into two parts, that is 30 into 5 and 8 into 5. 30 into 5 becomes 150 and 8 into 5 becomes 40. So by adding them it becomes 190, that is equal to 38 into 5. So during this process we have to store both intermediate steps temporarily in our memory to get the desired output. So here we are using our short term memory. Okay, so if any person he don't know the table of 38 or he don't remember, then he can simply split that number into the two parts. Okay, that is 30 and 8, and multiplying by 5, and what will be the output, adding them will be the final answer. So that was the example first. Let us see the second example. Second example is English question paper. Okay, the question is there. Carefully read this passage and answer the questions given below. After reading that passage, we have to read the question and have to find the answers of the questions. So I have to store temporarily the information from starting to end and need to understand what is context, where what story is exactly there, okay, and what it will be used for answer. So according to there, here also we are using short term memory. So it is fact that access time for short term memory is less as compared to long term memory. That means the time which is required for the short term memory is very less as compared to the long term memory. Also the capacity of short term memory is very less. How? For that we can take the example. The example is, let us take the number 7610531594. Okay, so the number is written, and what you have to do, store this number as it is on temporary basis, and then have to write on paper. Sequence should be same, there will be no mistakes in that. So generally on an average 7 plus or minus 2, that much of digits people can write correctly, okay, and it is the average case. So you can determine the capacity of short term memory from that, how much it is less. So I have to increase the capacity. So what I will do, I will play this smart move. So what I will do, I will group that numbers, okay, group of digits called as a chunk. There is no limitation of numbers in chunks. It can contain 2 or 3 numbers in one chunks. The benefit of writing into chunks is that you can remember 7 plus minus 2 number of chunks at a time, and it is increasing the capacity of short term memory. So as you can see, the number 7610531594 is written in the form of group. Okay, 76 is the one group, 10 is the another group, 53, 15 and 94, these are the different group. These are nothing but the chunks. Okay, the benefit of writing into the chunks will help you to remember easily that number. Next, long term memory. So what is long term memory? Let us see in the detail what is the long term memory. Long term memory is a main source, it is a main storage. Whatever there in your long term memory, whatever stored in your long term memory, that defines you, it defines your individuality, who are you. On the basis of that you are interacting in your environment. That is very important, and that is main resource. If I compare long term memory with short term memory, so in the comparison of short term memory, the memory of long term memory is more. Also access time for short term memory is very less as compared to the long term memory. In short term memory you are memorizing things very less as compared to the long term memory, but in long term memory you are remembering the things for the long period of time. Types of long term memory, there are two types of long term memory. First one is episodic memory and the second one is a semantic memory. Let us see the first types, episodic memory. What is episodic memory? In episodic memory, in your life, whatever events are there, actions are there, experiences are there that defining to your life, we are remembering them in one sequence. Example, for example, you started your education, you completed your 10th, 12th, graduation and MS. Also with that, you learn to how to drive the car, etc. So this is the journey, okay, is nothing but events in your life. It defines your life, so it is episode in your life and it is stored in your episodic memory. Next, semantic memory. So what is semantic memory? Whatever lifelong in your life, whatever skill you have learned, whatever facts you have learned, whatever knowledge you have acquired, all these things are present in your semantic memory. Also there are another things in semantic memory to discuss. So let us see that semantic memory is one type of structure. Okay, so let us see. Okay, so in the semantic memory structure, the one form is network form. Okay, so let us see in the figure. Okay, so suppose it is in the network form, then it will look like this. In this, the dog is an animal eats animal, moves. Okay, so dog has four legs, dog has tail, dog barks, sleeping dog is a dog. Okay, so these are the entities. So it is one type of complex network. Okay, it is simple sample. What is this semantic network is giving us the information. So as you can check, the information is given in the form of network. Okay, so you will ask only this structure is available for the semantic memory. Okay, so there is another structure is also available for the semantic memory, and it is called as a frame based structure. So what is happening in the frame based structure, we will see in the next slide. Okay, so this is the semantic memory structure in the frame based form. So in that, the entity is dog. Okay, so to remember that there is another structure, frame based structure. It is the type of the like letter type structure. Okay, so entity is written dog, parameters are fixed. Okay, fixed parameters are legs are 4, that is fixed. Then default diet is carnivorous and sound is bark. Then variable parameters are colors and size. Okay, both may differ. Okay, color may be red, black or white, and size may be small, medium or big. Okay, so all this information is frame based structure of this respective entity, that is dog. Next, important things in the long term memory. So there are three important things in the long term memory. First one is information store, then loss of information, and third one is retrieval of information. So let us see one by one in the detail. So starting with the information store. What is the information store? So in the information store, how will you store the information? Whatever information is coming in your short term memory, you are passing that memory in the long term memory. But when you are exposing any respective stimuli again and again, repeating again and again, practicing it again and again, so repeated exposure of a stimuli gets that experience, gets that whatever information to the long term memory. For example, you have learned to drive the bicycle, or you have learned driving the car. That skill set is stored in your mind for a long time. You learn swimming, so that thing also you stored in your mind for lifelong. You will never forget this. Also controls and moves of walking you have learned, and it is also stored in your mind. Then second one, loss of information. So in the loss of information, as we know that we are the human and we are forgetting sometimes. So why it is happening? How it is happening? Because of interference. Now what is interference? Interference is some old information you was having, and now you have received new information, and what happened, the new information masked to old information, and due to that you forgot old information and remembered new information. For this calling as a retroactive interference. Example, in the mobile phone I have old number, but it is not in my use. So what I did, I removed that number and inserted another new number. Now what will happen, the new number masked to old number, and that information get lost. Now old number is not in my use, but new number is in my use, because I will be using that number and I will provide that number to others for contacting me, and that's why I will remember that number in my mind and I will forget old number because now it is not in use. So that is the loss of information. Now the third one is retrieval of information. So what is happening in the retrieval of information? How you can retrieve? Sometimes you are recalling, sometimes you are recalling the some things when it is required or it is needed or it is necessary. Okay, so the retrieval is reproducing the information from the memory is called recall. Sometimes you have to recognize the clue is given to you and you have to recognize. For example, like guess who is this, something is coming in front of you and that is the clue for you to retrieve the information out, and that is called recognition. Some are recalling, some are recognizing for retrieval of information. So that was the retrieval of information, and all is about the human memory of the short-term memory and the long-term memory with the sensory memory. So all these three types is clear, that is short-term memory, long-term memory and the sensory memory. Thank you. Today's topic is human emotions in human computer interface. What is human emotions? Generally, we all are familiar with this topic. We all are know that different types of emotions are generated in different types of situations. So let us see the definition of emotions. According to James Lange theory, the emotion is the interpretation of a physiological response rather than the other way around. The psychologists have studied emotional response for decades, and there are many theories as to what is happening when we feel an emotion and why such a response occurs. According to the different situation person is reacting, he is giving the response according to the situation. So human emotion depends on nature of human and also intention of human, that is emotion is the interpretation of a sociological response. Our emotional response to situation affects how we are perform. Next, types of human emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, surprise. These are the basic types of emotions shown in the figure. Next, various theories about emotions in HCI. Various theories of how emotion works. There are three scientists, James Lange, Cannon and Scatter Singer. These scientists have defined emotions in different ways. They have their own opinion on the emotion. So let us see. The first one, James Lange on emotion. They said emotion is our interpretation of a physiological response to a stimuli. Then Cannon on emotion. So Cannon said emotion is a physiological response to a stimuli. Then Scatter Singer on emotion. They said emotion is the result of our evaluation of our physiological responses in the light of the whole situation we are in. So emotion clearly involves both cognitive and physical responses to stimuli. Also, the biological response to physical stimuli is called affect. Affect means or affect influences how we respond to situation. There are two types of affect, positive affect and negative affect. So in positive affect, creative problem solving, and in negative, narrow thinking. So we already know or we are familiar with negative and positive affect. In positive affect can make it easier to difficult tasks, and in negative affect can make it harder to do even easy tasks. And this is the Donald Norman's theory about the emotions. Then theory related to emotions, implications for interface design. For interface design, stress will increase the difficulty of problem solving. Then relaxed user will be more forgiving of shortcoming in design. Aesthetically pleasing and rewarding interfaces will increase positive effect. Next, human emotions, positive emotions and negative emotions. So in the positive emotions, we can make the work easily, even that is hard to do, but due to the positive emotion we can easily finish that work. And in negative emotions, we find it difficult to solve in particular time. Even if it is easy, then also we will take more time to solve because we have the negative emotions. So that is the difference between the positive emotions and negative emotions. Next point is emotion recognition. So there are different types of emotion recognition, like speech recognition, gesture action recognition, and facial expression recognition. So let us see first one, speech recognition. So in this, you can recognize emotion after hearing the voice of or speech of a particular person and can easily identify the emotion. Then the second one is a gesture or action recognition. So in this, by watching the movement or action or gesture, you can easily identify the emotion of that particular person. Then third one is facial expression recognition. So in this, by watching facial expression of that particular person, you can find or identify the emotions of that person. So all these three terms comes under the emotion recognition. So by observing these terms, you can easily find the emotion of that person. Next, examples of human emotions. So positive emotions enables us to think more creatively to solve complex problems, whereas negative emotion pushes us towards negative thinking. A problem may be easy to solve when we are relaxed, and it will become difficult if we are frustrated or afraid. Positive emotion includes gratitude, euphoria, joy, happiness, empathy, hope, pride, desire. These all are positive emotions, and it is very useful for everyone to grow up. Also, common sense says that when we lose our fortune, then we are sorry and weep. Also, we meet a bear, are frightened and run, and we are lost by a rival that is competent, then we are angry and strike. The hypothesis here is that we feel sorry because we cry. Also, we feel angry because we strike, and we feel afraid because we tremble. Okay, so there is a difference between the positive and the negative impact. In positive impact, it increases the creativity, encourage helping behavior and cooperation, reduce aggression against organization and people, leads accuracy in the work. Then in negative impact, aggressions towards colleagues, dissatisfaction with the job, frequent fights and absenteeism. So you have to focus on positive emotions and positive impact because it will reach you towards success and growth in life. The human emotions are related with human computer interaction. For this, we can take the real-time example. When you are using the 5G internet connection, but due to the poor network service by the telecom service operator or provider, you are not able to use the services in the fast speed, and if it is taking more time to opening a single website, then you will get frustrated and you will be anger, and anger is the type of the emotion. So here you are showing the your emotion. Okay, so that is the part of the emotion. I hope you will understand with the example what is emotion with the real-time example. Thank you. Hello everyone. Today's topic is Schneiderman's 8 golden rules for interface design. So start with the introduction. Golden rules of heuristics. Provide a convenient and brief summary of the key principles of interface design. If any designer follows these simple rules while designing, will produce a good design. There are different types of rules, such as first one, Schneiderman's 8 golden rules, then Norman's 7 principles, and Nelson's 10 heuristics. Next, let us see the reason behind using the Schneiderman's 8 golden rules. So some introductory part is there. Ben Schneiderman, an American computer scientist, consolidated some implicit facts about designing and came up with 8 general guidelines. These guidelines are beneficial for normal designers as well as interface designers. Also beneficial in experimental assessment of identifying better GUIs. Apple, Google, Microsoft are among some of the highly successful companies whose well-designed product reflects Schneiderman's rules. The characteristics derived from Schneiderman's golden rules can be recognized in various user interface guidelines produced by corporate giants like the companies Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc. So you have to design the qualityful graphical user interface by using these rules. Okay, so by using these rules, any designer can design better interfaces. Okay, so that is the reason behind that. Next, so there are total 8 Schneiderman's golden rules. First one is strive for consistency, then enable users to use shortcuts. Next, offer informative feedback. Next, design dialog to yield closure. Next, offer error prevention and simple error handling. Next, permit easy reversal of actions. Next, support internal locus of control. And last one is reduce short-term memory load. So let us see in detail one by one. Rule first is strive for consistency. So we already know consistency about the consistency. So let us see what is the strive for consistency. Consistent sequence of action should be required in similar situations. Identical terminology should be used in prompts and help screens, and consistent commands should be employed throughout. Okay, so meaning of this is you have to do the changes in the system but in very less manner. Okay, don't do the drastic changes in the system. Okay, if you are doing the major changes in that system, so what will happen, user have to learn that changes to use the system, and that will be the complicated. Or if efforts is more to use that system, then it will not the good design interface. Okay, so what is our HCI goal is to make the system easy to use. Okay, and less effort from the user side to use that system. Okay, so for that you can take the example. The first example is menu bar of macOS. So if you observe, the graphical elements of Mac OS is similar, that is consistent. Okay, if we take the version of 1980s with the same version of 2010, so in both the versions the basic graphical elements of the Mac OS is similar, consistent, there is no change in that. Okay, and the user is familiar with that already, so he need not to change the way of use of that OS. Okay, so that is the example of menu bar of the Mac OS. Then second example is Instagram. So Instagram is also easy to use for the user. Okay, so we already know for the like the picture, we have to just tap double. Okay, so it will get like automatically. Then scrolling enables seeing the most recent post. Can view the stories. Tap and hold on the story, pauses it. Next, so here you can see in the diagram the functionality is there. Okay, functionality of the Instagram is there. Easily can edit the profile and do the changes, whatever changes user wants, he can easily go into the profile and easily do the changes. Okay, so here the thing is very simple. If the user want to like that picture, then simply have to double click on that picture, it will get liked. Okay, so it is the good design. Okay, so opposite to that, what will be the bad design? If we have the option, okay, to like this picture, there are the three dots on the right topmost of the corner. Select that three dot. After that there is a options. In that you have to select one option. In that, again from that option select again next option. Okay, and after that you will get the like option, then click on that, and after that picture will get clicked on the like. Okay, so that will be the bad design. Okay, but here we have to maintain the consistency. Okay, so here it is the best example to click the double on the picture and it will get like. Okay, so it is very basic and it is very useful, and it need to be maintained like Mac OS, Windows OS already have maintained, okay, for their user. So it is very useful. I hope you will understand. Strive for consistency with the example. Go for the next. Rule number 2, enable user to use shortcuts. Recognize the needs of diverse users and design for plasticity. Universal design strive to cater to as wide range of human users of different characteristics such as age, culture, educational level and disability, etc. with single design. As the frequency of use increases, so do the users desire to reduce the number of interactions and to increase the pace of interaction. An example for this is a keyboard accelerator, shortcut keys, abbreviations, function keys, etc. Okay, so if you have seen some tasks you wanted to do in past, so there are some keyboard shortcuts, some abbreviations, some simple commands are there. All these things when we giving to the user in the form of shortcut, then they are performing and executing their task quickly, and which is very important property that should be there in every interface design. You can take Windows and Mac OS as an example. In that you are getting you get the option, okay, for copy Control C, for paste Control V, or save Control S. Okay, like this you are getting the options. To lock the window, you can simply press the icon of the Windows and L, so it will get locked. Okay, so that is the you enable user to use the shortcuts, and nowadays you are using that. Okay, next. Rule number 3 is offer informative feedback. Okay, so for every user action, there should be an system feedback. For frequent and minor actions, the response can be modest, whereas for infrequent and major actions, the response should be more substantial. Visual presentation of the objects of interest provides a convenient environment for showing changes explicitly. Next, example for this is, okay, so here we can take the example. Suppose if you are doing anything with your system, okay, so whatever you are doing with that, you must get the feedback of that for every action simply you are performing, and that feedback should be in the human understandable and human readable form. It is very important. The time should be reasonable. The response time expected is if 1 second, and if you are getting the response in 1 minute, then it is not the good design. Okay, so whatever feedback is there, it should be formative, meaningful, okay, and human readable and understandable, and within reasonable time. So it should be passed to the user, so that whatever be the next procedure, user can proceed with that or can take the action. Okay, so for that, the in the example the picture is shown. Okay, so in that, uh, when error is coming in the form of coding as it is showing in the figure. Okay, so now the user don't know what is mean of that error code, because there is a possibility might be he is not from the technical background. Okay, so it is very bad design because it is not meaningful information. Okay, it is not human understandable form, because some human can understand, those who have the technical background, but the people who don't have any technical background, they can't understand. So that's why it is not the good design. Okay, so it should be written, okay, in the understandable form. Okay, error should be described in the very good form. Okay, why that error came, by which action of user that error came, all this information when comes in that message in the proper way, then at that time we can say that it is a really informative feedback. Okay, so this thing should have in the interface design, as these are the very important for the interface design. Next, the fourth rule is design dialog to yield closure. Sequence should be organized into groups with a beginning, middle, and end. The informative feedback at the completion of a group of action gives users the satisfaction of accomplishment, a sense of relief, a signal to drop contingency plans from their minds, and an indicator to prepare for the next group of actions. Okay, so what is the mean of that? Okay, simply don't keep your user in the guessing mode. Okay, give him some confirmation. You have performed this action, that's why you have received this result. Okay, now you are at this stage of the process. For example, okay, if you are installing any software, or in figure you can see system updation. Okay, so system is updating, so it is showing the how much percentage it is updated and how much percentage it is remaining. In the second image you can see copying the files, so it is showing the status, how much percentage is completed and how much percentage remaining, or how much files are copied and how much are remaining. Even time calculation also is showing. So here, what is the main motto, that don't keep your user in the guessing mode. Okay, if for example you started the software installation and internally it is installing, so user is thinking that or guessing that till the time maybe 10% or 20% installation is done, okay, and maybe 80% is remaining, okay. So don't keep your user in that situation or in that guessing mode, okay. Give him the clear idea like it is showing in the figure, so that he can easily understand that that much of percentage is completed and that much of percentage is remaining. Even time calculation also it is showing, so he can easily understand that the within this time it will get completed, okay. So it is, this information is like the dialogue, okay. It is like conversation which is getting carried out between the system and the user, and is the efficient way of interaction of interface design, okay, and should be there. Next, fifth rule is offer error prevention and simple error handling, okay. So as much as possible design the interface so that users cannot make serious error. If user make an error, the interface should offer simple, constructive and specific construction for recovery. Okay. So example is there here. Okay. User should not have to retype entire name address form if they enter an invalid zip code, but rather should be guided to repair only the faulty part. Erroneous action should leave the interface state unchanged, or the interface should give instruction about restoring the state. Okay, so if by mistakenly user is entering the invalid or wrong zip code, so zip code is at the middle level. Okay, so at that level the user should get the offer to for repair that fault, okay. At the same time don't send him to back from, or don't start, okay, from the beginning, okay. Don't ask to him start from the beginning, because it will be the again the repeat process from the starting. So allow him at that point to repair, that fault, okay. So that is the uh, offer error prevention and simple error handling. Next, rule number 6, permit easy reversal of actions, okay. So as much as possible action should be reversible. This feature relieves anxiety since user know that error can be undone and encourages exploration of unfamiliar options. The units of reversibility may be a single action, a data entry task, or a complete group of actions such as entry of a name address block. It is an instant relief to find that undo option after mistake is made. Okay, so here what is the thing? The thing is that permit to the user for the easy reversal of action, okay. An example for this is undo, okay. If for example, if user, suppose by mistake user not fill the required information, okay. Everybody have filled the online application form, okay. So some fields are mandatory in that, okay, and by mistake if one uh, mandatory field is blank uh, by the user, okay. So if he left the that mandatory field blank, so what will happen? He will get the error, okay. But at the same time he should have the permission of easy reversal of actions, okay. Otherwise what happens, uh, the user is doing the mistake, okay, and he left the blank the mandatory field, okay, and after that he is trying to submit the form and it is not get submitted or not get processed, okay. So what is happening, user is getting confused that why it is not happening, okay. So he should be redirected at that point, okay. When he is trying to submit, at that time it will get redirected to that error that this is an mandatory field you have not filled, okay. To submit, fill this field, okay, so that you can submit. So in this way if he gets the easy permission to uh, reversal of action, so that he can easily fill up the details. Okay, so you already have used the undo option, so you can easily understand. Next, rule number 7 is support internal locus of control. Experienced users strongly desire the sense that they are in charge of the interface and that the interface responds to their action. Design system to make users the initiator of the actions rather than the responder. So what is the mean of that? Okay, here you have to give the one type of field to the user. Okay, you are the only the initiator. Okay, whole system is in your control. Okay, so like this happening with the interface, then what will happen? It will build the trust on the system. Okay, so it will increase, because whatever the user is doing, he feels like that whole system is in his control. No one is internally in the backside seated who is controlling. Okay, only the user controlling. Okay, so it builds the trust. Okay, so he comes to know that he is the person who can control it only. Okay, so when it builds the trust, okay, so that trust is important for one good interface design. Okay, so one type of field you have to give to the user. Okay, that you are the only initiator and you are controlling whole the system. No one is interfering in that. Only you are the initiator and you are controlling everything. So okay, so that is the support internal locus of control. Next, reduce rule number 8 is reduce short term memory load. Okay, the limitation of human information processing in short term memory requires that displays be kept simple, multiple page display be consolidated, windows motion frequency be reduced, and sufficient training time be allotted for course, mnemonics and sequence of actions. Okay, so here what you have to do, don't give the load on the user's memory. Okay, make things simple, sophisticated, readable, don't make it complex. Okay, in interface, because it is short term memory, many less things that happened recently is stored in that. Okay, so due to that, what you have to focus on simple things. Okay, ignore the complex things. Okay, if you have screen of your mobile in front of you, then max to max 5 to 6 icons should be there on screen. Okay, to keep that screen as simple. And one more thing, give the importance to the recognition instead of recall. Okay, so here you have to give the more importance to the recognition instead of recall. So now what is recognition? Okay, so simply clue is given, okay, to you. On the basis of that, okay, clue, you have to retrieve the information on the basis of that clue. Okay, you are trying to recognize something, some kind of information which is in your brain. Okay, so it is easiest task and have to give the easiest task to user. Don't give user, okay, task to user for recall. Okay, now what is recall? Recall is, okay, you have to go in deep, okay, to retrieve the information. That is very difficult task. Okay, for example, everybody have given the examination. So in examination there are two types of questions are coming. One is MCQ type, that is multiple choice questions, and the second one is explain in details. Okay, so which questions are simple? Obviously multiple choice questions are simple. Okay, so in that what you have to do, you have to recognize the answer, okay, on the basis of the information, because four option given to you, from that you have to recognize some information, you have to retrieve, and on the basis of that you have to take the answer from that four options. But when it is asked to explain in detail, okay, question is for same marks or more marks, okay, but here you have to reproduce the information from your brain so that you can write in detail on answer sheet. Okay, so here recognition should be given more importance over the recall. Okay, and that is the very important point. Okay, so I hope you understand all the 8 points, okay, or 8 golden rules of the Schneidermans. So thank you.